I'm 95 years old. I am the last one left in a room filled with shadows and the hum of a machine that breathes for a man who used to be my friend. I've buried my wife, Sarah. I've buried my brother, Thomas. I've even buried two of my own children. From this vantage point, this high, cold peak of nearly a century, I don't see a life of accomplishment. I see a graveyard of choices. I see the cliff you are currently sprinting toward, and I'm shaking you by the shoulders because you're doing it with a smile on your face. You think you're winning. You think you're getting ahead. You're not. You're just liquidating the only currency that actually matters. Stop. Look at me. Look at these spotted hands. Ask yourself, what is so important on that screen that it's worth the literal rot of your mind? Who are you ignoring right now so you can squeeze out one more hour of productivity? Do you honestly believe the hustle is going to sit by your bed and hold your hand when the names of your own grandchildren start slipping through your fingers like dry sand? Do you think the company you're killing yourself for will even remember your name 5 years after you're gone? They won't. But your biology will remember every single insult you gave it. February 14th, 1982, it was Valentine's Day. I remember the date because the radiator in my home office was clanking a rhythmic, metallic thud hiss, and the room smelled of stale coffee and the ozone of an overheated desk lamp. It was 2:45 a.m. I was 40 years old and I was finishing the Miller account. Sarah had come to the door 3 hours earlier. She was wearing that blue robe with the frayed sleeves, the one she always wore when she was tired but couldn't sleep because the other side of the bed was cold. She didn't say much. She just leaned against the door frame, her hair a bit messy, and she hummed. It was a low, soft tune she always used when she was trying to pull me back to reality. "Come to bed, Arthur," she whispered. "The account will be there in the morning." I didn't even look up from the ledger. I felt a surge of what I thought was discipline. I told myself I was doing this for her. I told myself that the $4,000 commission on the Miller account was the key to our future. I looked at the columns of numbers, the black ink blurring under the harsh yellow light, and I felt a twisted sense of superiority. While the rest of the world slept, I was building an empire. "I'm almost done," I snapped. My voice was sharp, brittle. "Just another hour. This is how we get the house in the hills, Sarah. Go back to sleep." She stayed there for a moment. I could hear her breathing, a soft, rhythmic sound that I chose to ignore in favor of the scratching of my pen. Eventually, the floorboards creaked as she walked away. I didn't go to bed at 3:45 a.m. I stayed until 4:30. I felt like a titan. I felt like I was beating the system. I was gaining 3 hours on my competitors. The reality was far more devastating. I wasn't gaining time. I was taking out a high-interest loan on my own brain, and the bank was already preparing to foreclose. I thought I was buying a house in the hills. I was actually buying the early onset fog that currently clouds every memory of that woman's face. I traded her warmth for a spreadsheet. This is the scorecard obsession. You are currently addicted to a number that doesn't exist. You're measuring your worth by the hours you steal from your own biology, convinced that if you just finish this one project or hit this one milestone, you can rest later. You've convinced yourself that the later you will be there to enjoy the rewards. But there is no later you. There is only the version of you that survives the damage you're doing right now. And right now, you are burning the very library where your life's meaning is stored, just to keep a 60-watt bulb burning for another hour. That was 1982. I won the Miller account. I got the bonus. I bought the leather chair that I'm sitting in right now, a mahogany-colored throne that felt like a trophy at the time. It's funny how the things you kill yourself to own eventually become the only things left to watch you die. By 1990, the 3 a.m. nights weren't a choice anymore. They were a rhythm. I had a team of 12 people. I had a mortgage that demanded my presence at the desk. I remember the smell of the office at midnight, the metallic tang of the photocopier, the stale, recycled air that tasted like dust and missed opportunities. My son, David, was 10. He had a science fair. He'd built a model of the solar system out of painted foam balls. I remember him standing in the hallway, holding Saturn, its rings slightly lopsided. He didn't ask me to come. He just looked at my briefcase, then at my eyes red-rimmed and sunken, and he walked back to his room. I told myself I'd make it up to him. I told myself I was building a legacy. I was actually just building a debt. See, I did the math once. Not when it mattered, but when it was too late. For 20 years, I stole an average of 2 hours of sleep every night. I thought I was gaining 14,600 hours of productivity. I thought I was a genius for outsmarting my own DNA, but biology isn't a bank you can negotiate with. It's a predatory lender. Here is the calculation I live with every morning. By consistently cutting those 2 hours, I wasn't adding to my life. I was accelerating the aging of my internal machinery by a factor of 1.25. Those 20 years of hustle didn't give me a leg up. They biologically aged my brain by an extra decade. I didn't gain 2 hours of work. I liquidated 10 years of cognitive function. I traded my 80 seconds for my 40 seconds. I sold the years I should be spending recognizing my daughter's face just so I could spend 1988 looking at a ledger. I lost 3,650 days of clarity. I traded 87,600 hours of future peace for a few years of being the guy who never sleeps. By 2005, the bills started coming due. It started small. I'd be in a meeting and the word for contract would just vanish. I could see it in my head, a white rectangle with lines, but the label was gone. I'd laugh it off. Senior moment, I'd say. The room would laugh with me, but inside I felt a cold, damp fear. It felt like the lights in the back of a house were being turned off one by one, and I couldn't find the fuse box. I remember a Tuesday in 2012. Sarah was in the kitchen. She was making stew, and the house smelled of rosemary and slow-simmered beef. I walked in, and for 3 horrific seconds, I didn't know who she was. I saw a woman with gray hair and kind eyes, and I felt a surge of panic because I was in a house with a stranger. Then the fog cleared. "Arthur?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You're staring." I couldn't tell her. I couldn't admit that the trash I'd refused to let my brain clear out during those 3 a.m. sessions in the 80s had finally piled up so high it was blocking the doorways to my own heart. I had spent decades refusing to let my mind wash itself clean in the dark, and now I was drowning in the sediment of my own ambition. I told myself I'd dressed after the merger. I told myself I'd be present after the kids graduated. After. Then Sarah was gone. Then the kids had kids of their own. And then there was no after. There was only the now, and the now is a hollowed-out shell where I struggle to remember if I've eaten lunch. The pattern is a trap. You think you're different. You think your drive protects you from the mechanics of your own meat and bone. You stay in the office because you've already put in 12 hours, so what's another 3? You don't want to waste the effort you've already made. That is the permanence illusion. You think the version of you that is exhausted, irritable, and powering through is a temporary state. You think you can just flip a switch and become the real you when the weekend comes. But there is no switch. The person you are at 2 a.m., the one with the pounding headache and the blurred vision, that is the person who is becoming permanent. You are carving your own tombstone with every hour of rest you refuse. I sit here in this leather chair and I try to remember the color of Sarah's eyes on our wedding day. I know they were blue. I have the photos, but I can't feel the blue. I can't see the light in them. That memory was stored in a part of my brain that I traded for the Miller account. I sold the sight of my wife's soul for a commission. Check that was spent 30 years ago. Was it worth it? I look at the clock. It's 2 p.m. in 6 hours. I will go to bed and I will pray that when I wake up, I still know my own name. You, however, are likely watching this late at night. You feel the itch to do just one more thing. You're about to make the same trade I did. Stop the video. I mean it. Take your hands off the mouse. Pull your fingers away from the screen. Put them flat on the table in front of you. Look at them. Really look at them. They look steady, don't they? They look like they belong to someone who has all the time in the world, but I can see the truth. I can see the microscopic tremors of a nervous system that is screaming for a break you refuse to give it. I can see the invisible ink of the contract you're signing, the one where you trade the clarity of your final decade for a few more hours of content or deadlines tonight. Two versions of you exist in this moment. There is the version of you watching this, convinced that you are the exception to the rule. You think your brain is a machine that just needs more oil. Then there is the version of me. I am the you at 95, sitting in a room that smells like antiseptic and old wool, screaming back through the decades, begging you to close your eyes. I am the one who has to live in the ruins of the architecture you are burning down tonight. You think you're being disciplined. You're not. You're being a coward. You're afraid that if you stop, you'll realize that the work you're killing yourself for isn't actually important. You're hiding in the hustle because the silence of a dark room is where the truth lives. Here is your framework for survival. Do these today or stop pretending you care about your future. 1. Go to a mirror and stare at the skin beneath your eyes. Touch it. It's thin like parchment. That great int isn't hard work. It's the visible ghost of the neurons you killed last night. Why it's hard? It forces you to see the physical decay you're choosing. What it reveals, you are actively mourning a version of yourself that hasn't even died yet. 2. Cancel your first meeting tomorrow and sleep until your body wakes up naturally. Just 1. Why it's hard. Your ego will tell you the world will collapse without you. What it reveals, the world moves on perfectly fine without your exhaustion, proving your sacrifice was actually an addiction to feeling needed. 3. Delete the productivity apps that track your sleep debt. Stop measuring the fire and just put it out. Why it's hard. You lose the data that makes you feel in control. What it reveals, you've been using a digital scorecard to justify a biological suicide. 4. Set an alarm for 9 p.m. tonight. When it goes off, turn off every light in your house and sit in the pitch black for 10 minutes. No phone, no music, just the sound of your own heart. Why it's hard. The silence will tell you exactly how much you've been running from. What it reveals, you are terrified of the person you become when you aren't busy. I'm tired now. My eyes are heavy, but not with the healthy weight of a day well spent. They are heavy with the permanent fog of 1,000 3 a.m. that I can never take back. I would give every cent in my bank account, every trophy, every ledger, the house in the hills, and this mahogany chair just to have one night in 1982, where I chose the blue robe over the black ink. But I can't. I am the ghost of your future, and I am exhausted. Go to sleep or don't. But remember, when the fog finally rolls in for you, you won't even have the memory of this warning to comfort you. Close your eyes. Now,